Today I want to talk about the Tudors TV series that despite being incredibly historically inaccurate, I really enjoyed. It ran from 2007 to 2010, and I started watching it in 2008, and it was one of my favorite TV shows for a long time. The fourth season definitely wasn't their best effort, but it did have some very good moments. The second season was probably their best season in my opinion. Jonathan Rhys Meyers as Henry VIII was pretty good. His acting was great. He doesn't look the part of Henry VIII. To be honest, that is my only quibble with him playing this role. Everything else was completely brilliant. And I understand that they had to make timeline changes to make the plot fit into 4 seasons. Natalie Dormer as Anne Boleyn is really beautiful, and she is an amazing actress. And this was pre-Game of Thrones, before everybody loved her as Marjorie Tyrell. I really adored her. She was even my computer background in college. She wasn't the Anne Boleyn I had always imagined when I was reading books, but she brought her own slant to the character, which was brilliant. Maria Doyle Kennedy as Catherine of Aragon was really great. She gave the character a great sense of poise and dignity that was deserved for such a remarkable woman. She didn't have the right colouring to be Catherine of Aragon, but apart from this, her performance was brilliant. As was her Spanish accent. Henry Cavill as Charles Brandon was very good looking, but he did manage to convey some of the cheeky elements of Charles Brandon's charm that you see throughout history. His marriage plotlines were not very good or fleshed out, but his friendship with Henry made up for these facts. Their last scene together was so emotional, you truly did get the feeling that they were best friends, and it was truly sad. Gabrielle Antoine as Margaret Tudor was not the best actress to pick for this role, as I feel she was too old. Though her colouring was perfect, they did put a little bit too much fake tan on her. Plus, there is the massive historical inaccuracies with her character, starting with her name, which should have been Mary, and as well there is her first marriage, which should have been to the King of France, not the King of Portugal, and she definitely did not kill her first husband by smothering him in bed. Tamsin Merchant as Catherine Howard was definitely my second favourite queen of the series, even if she was naked for most of her time on it. She did manage to capture Catherine Howard's childishness right down to the fact that you could believe that men would take advantage of her, because she just didn't know any better. She also really looked the part, I thought. I heard many rumours that she was originally meant to play Daenerys Targaryen in the original pilot for Game of Thrones, and I do think that would have been amazing to see. Annabelle Wallis as Jane Seymour, also played by Anita Brine, who also played Jane Seymour. This kind of sums up Jane Seymour in this show. Nobody paid enough attention to this character to even make sure they kept the same actress. Her plot was so bland, I was kind of glad when she died and we could move on to more interesting queens, even though this sounds really horrible. The next queen was just as bland, and we had Joss Stone playing Anne of Cleves, who, to be honest, in real life is extremely boring as well. She did really look the part though, and for a singer-songwriter to be an actress, she did a very good job, I thought. James Frayne as Thomas Cromwell was brilliant. He didn't look the part, but his acting definitely made up for it. James Frayne always plays a really good villain, no matter what type of show he is in, but he does get typecast quite a bit as the medieval bad guy, as you see him as Warwick Kingmaker in The White Queen as well. Sam Neill as Cardinal Wolsey was again a brilliant choice. Even if he didn't look the part, his acting was great and really believable. His death scene really shook me as I wasn't expecting it. Even if it was historically inaccurate, it really did lend drama to the plot. Jolene Richardson as Catherine Parr was very good. She definitely embodied a strong woman of the medieval Tudor time. and she definitely did help Henry bring his family together in real life, and this was brilliantly shown in this TV program. Sarah Bulger as Princess Mary was very good and very, very pretty, but I don't think she had the mistrustful nature or the sharp edges that Mary I had in real life. But I guess you can't ask for everything in a TV show. I loved watching the sister dynamic between Princess Mary and Princess Elizabeth. There were two girls who played Princess Elizabeth or Lady Elizabeth, depending on who you ask, but I cannot find either of their names online. But the older girl was a brilliant little actress, and she definitely looked 100% the way I had always imagined a young Elizabeth I to look. There is a lot more I could say about the Tudor TV series, but overall I think it was pretty good, especially compared to things like The Spanish Princess. The Tudors is much more realistic and grounded in fact. There are quite a few historical inaccuracies throughout the TV series, but I understand that they had to make changes to adapt this story for TV and to make it a little bit more dramatic and spicy to keep the watcher interested, and I can forgive these things, as they generally stuck to the historical truth. Season 4 was definitely not their best effort, but it did have some great moments, especially Henry's death scene, where he sees each one of his dead wives with the children that he has from them, and they say a little to him about his character. It really sums up Henry VIII's life, and how it really was a tragic love story about a man who kept falling in love with women. Henry's death scene really is truly tear-jerking. The Tudors TV series got 8.1 on IMDb and 69% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is pretty good for a drama set in a period piece. But what do you think? Be sure to let me know in the comments below. And as always, this is just my opinion. Please remember to help out and like this video if you enjoyed it. You can also follow me on Instagram at Lady Jessica Riddell and on Twitter at Jessams. I post on Twitter regularly about my videos. If you want to see more book reviews, character comparisons and fan theories, please subscribe to Jessie Bear Book Club. I try to post a new video at least once a week. See you next time on Jessie Bear Book Club. Bye!